This is the episode 3 of the Jampano's Arcane Mage only hardcore journey to 60, guys. And I think he's about to go into Wailing Caverns from what I can see here. Did he already do it? Let's see this.
I'm trying to get to level 60 as an Arcane
Yeah, we saw
Only
this.
Mage
We saw the Wailing Caverns last night.
on Classic WoW without dying a single time.
Yeah, we did.
Previously, we crawled our way through the Wailing Caverns and Dead Mines, getting some pretty crazy upgrades, and now our gear is looking kinda insane.
Yeah, I remember now.
First things first, I need to clear up my bag space quite a bit, and for that reason, I'm spending some time getting my engineering up. We just got our new rank of Arcane Missiles, as well as Arcane Explosion 2 levels prior. This means we are at our strongest we'll ever be in the cycle. Spells rely a ton on their base damage while leveling, because it's not until late game where we get spell power and crit on our items.
Yeah.
So currently, we have no issues just destroying mobs in our way.
That's actually insane
but as
how
we
much damage
level
it
up,
does.
this will only get harder and harder until eventually we hit our new spell ranks and reset the cycle. But we should take a quick look at our talents. I've spec'd both in the first row, taking some in clear casting and the 1 damage. We're skipping Arcane Explosion quick for now, since hit is generally more consistent and better, because hit is calculated before crits. Then clear casting because I have to drink less on average, speeding up leveling a little bit. In general though, I'm not going to engage anything that I won't have the mana to kill unless I get a clear casting proc. In the same way, I won't pull anything where I would rely on critting to kill them. So talents like those are just an added bonus and not necessary, unlike, let's say, hit chance. Even with all this hit though, in Classic there's always a 1% chance for spells to resist. So
Bro, he literally just killed 3 mobs easily just by spamming arcane missiles. Like, is this build just secretly OP or what?
in an extreme scenario, we could be crazy unlucky. Up to this point, I've been pretty comfortable with the content.
It's pretty insane.
Decently well versed in the levels 1 to 20, having done it
I guess they're
multiple
22,
times
yeah.
recently. But after that, I'm kinda lost. In the actual Classic, I played a mage. Not an arcane mage, no, but a real mage who just AoE farmed to 60. And after that, I just used my own mage to dungeon boost any alts to 60. To summarize, I've never actually quested this far before, and really have no clue what lies ahead of us. But with that,
average mage brain doesn't even know what, hasn't even done questing. Literally just killed mobs to 60.
that said,
What the
our current plan seems to be working wonders.
Hasn't even done the best part of the game, man, the leveling journey. Hello?
XP, we're 4 levels ahead of the step that we are currently on. So as long as we keep this up, we shouldn't have to be too scared. I was now level 26, but unfortunately, there is nothing for us to train at this level. So I just moved on to the next zone. Also, there were a lot of comments saying what I killed wasn't actually Fangor, but instead it was a Yowler. I don't believe you. I even went back and checked the old footage, and look, it clearly says Fangor. Anyways, in Wetlands I started feeling pretty cool AoE pulling 3
Here we're back to AoE farming.
4 nulls at a time with Arcane Explosion, but my confidence was quickly extinguished as I saw a mage take on the entire camp.
So disgusting.
Demoralized, I failed to realize my 28 stamina fortitude had dropped and almost died pulling too many nulls. I had told myself to chill a bit with teleporting, as it's somewhat expensive, but we're just so rich that I instantly fell into a teleporting addiction. As we mentioned earlier, staying on top of our level is very important. One way to do that is through rested experience, which I accumulate an impressive amount of due to the fact that I stay logged out for quite some time while editing these videos. But the second way is
good with some breaks.
And as I was chilling in Duskwood, I got an innocent whisper asking if I would like to join a Stockades run. Stockades is a bit interesting. Some of the quests in there require you to run the dungeon twice to complete them, which we
yeah, some you can be unlucky and have to do 2 of them, but it's always the bananas. Stockades is unironically OP though. You get like, I think 5 quests, I think. If you do all the pre-quests and everything, it's like 5 quests or so. It's so good XP.
Can't do since the hardcore add-on only allows 1 run of a dungeon. So, we rolled to see who got to complete the bandana quest, and I was
the classic.
A problem with dungeon is, no tanks aside from paladins actually have sufficient area damage to keep up with my threat generation.
Yeah, you're right, actually, Moo, you could just wait. When you clear the full dungeon, you can wait like around 15, 20, 30 minutes, depending on how fast you are. And the mobs will start respawning, and you will still be in the same ID, because the mobs never stop respawning in that dungeon, except the bosses.
Means as soon as I start blasting arcane explosions, I will most likely tank half the pack.
Washed up can play hardcore.
In this group we have a second mage, and a second mage means Blizzard, Cone of Colds, and Frost Novas. This effectively lets me kite anything I pull aggro on and lets me play without fear of dying. Essentially what I'm trying to say is, my DPS went f***ing crazy in this dungeon.
Holy.
As soon as the Frost Mage had the pack set up, I pressed my explosion, running in circles to keep everything stacked up while avoiding hits, and just absolutely pumping out damage. In the end, even though we rolled for who was going to complete the quest, we were still a bit short. So I had to quickly weasel my way to completion by sniping loot from people not on the quest. Just a little bit of snake behavior. At the very end of the run, we overpulled a little bit, which was somewhat scary, considering it's most likely my job to tank as soon as I press one button. But with my mage companion controlling the packs, I could easily kite everything while slowly killing them off. And we finished the Stockades unscathed. It's kind of funny.
Only fire mage for hardcore. I don't know what kind of challenge I'm gonna be doing when I do my next hardcore stuff, but we'll see.
How by far my best companion in
though,
dungeons is just another mage. One downside of hardcore being so popular is that Stitches is permanently patrolling the road. So if you blink for 1 second too long, you're sent straight to the grave. While
funny thing actually about Stitches, guys, is that he actually spawns by doing a quest. So when you finish I think it's the Bride of the Embalmer, that whole quest chain with the Lisa and stuff like that, that's where Stitches actually spawns. So he's not just like a random thing that like suddenly arrives. He is a mob that spawns by finishing a quest. So that's why sometimes there's a lot of him and sometimes he's never there.
You're sent straight to the grave.
Yeah.
While our gear is looking splendid, one part that is severely lacking is our wand. It was a great item to get at like level 13. We're now more than double that level. And it's been a while since I've actually used it. So to get a new one, we need to venture into the Black Fathom Deeps. But before we can do that, we have to hit level 28. Unlike 26, this level actually gives us a few things, but mainly we're getting our hands on our first mana gem. Mana gems are a conjured item that restores mana and is usable in combat. This essentially acts like a permanent mana potion as long as I make a new one after using it. But after—
You know what's insane, man? When I was very young and I started playing vanilla, I actually made a mage because I wanted to try to play a mage, and in my mind, I didn't want to make any mana gems or any food or mana drinks that you could make as a mage. Because in my brain, in my very intellectual, smart 10-year-old brain, I thought, why would I spend mana so I can just get it back? So I just never crafted any mana or like any drinks or any mana gems. Because it didn't make sense to me. Because I'm spending mana just to get it back. So I just didn't do those.
After using it. But after assembling the troops, we jogged over to the Soram Strand to enter our dungeon.
I was a very smart kid growing up, guys.
Compared to the Stockades, this group played it a lot more safe, which is understandable, you know, because it's hardcore. But sadly, this also means Arcane doesn't really get to shine in terms of DPS. Of course, the positive trade-off with this is it also means I'm not tanking more than half the packs. There are actually a few items that can drop in here for casters, but they are all extremely spirit heavy. And while it's occasionally useful, it pales in comparison to intellect and stamina. So I passed all big loot to the healer, and eventually we finished the dungeon. Looking at the overall damage done, it wasn't actually too bad considering how safe we pulled. But as I went and turned in the completed quest, we finally got our new wand, which is almost
the
double
Grave
DPS
Scepter,
of our old
right?
one.
Oh.
Okay, so the challenge specifically states that we are allowed to use spells in the Arcane and General tab. This makes sense because otherwise we couldn't use Professions, attack with our staff even though it's physical damage, but my point with this is that the General tab also includes Shoot, which is the attack for our wand. All of this is to say the damage type of the wand doesn't matter because the actual ability to use it lies within the General tab. Testing our DPS, Arcane missiles lie around 80 to 90, while the wand is about half that. One suffers from damage knockback, which missiles don't, but it's still useful to finish off enemies without wasting mana. But overall, the speed of questing is still decently fast between all the upgrades we're getting. But every time I come back to questing, I always forget that I can in fact AoE farm a decent amount. But that quickly gets remedied once I remember. Duskwood for some reason is just a hub of overleveled elites walking around. Once done though, I went back to Red Ridge to finish the final quest in Zone. AoE farming is a bit scary when mobs respawn right in your face. But with proper use of fences, I can avoid most damage taken even when fighting 5 enemies. While here, I also decided to kill some guy whose name I just can't remember. But he just refused to respawn.
Is Yowler,
I got gifted a tie by Big Toe Mo and finish off this guy whose identity is unknown in style.
There we go.
At this point, I was feeling a bit dangerous and decided to not only tackle a cave, but an escort quest inside a cave.
Dude, I don't know why people think this escort is so hard. Like, yeah, there's a lot of... These camps here are difficult, but dude, you literally just let the escort dude kill everything. He's an elite. He just cranks it.
Before that, I just had to sneak past this rare, which then I proceeded to aggro.
This is the scariest part of the quest.
As long as that caster doesn't flee into the other mobs over there, and then somehow manage to path in between both of them.
Yeah, this is sketch though. This is sketch.
Yeah. Anyways, moving into the cave, we have a few things to remember. First, fleeing really isn't an option, and it's always better to just try to tackle what's in front of you.
Yeah, it can be kind of scary, I guess.
Considering enemies could respawn behind you at any point. Because of this, every time I engage an enemy, I need to be prepared for the worst to happen. This essentially lends itself to me having full mana before every pull, so I'm not shit out of luck when something eventually does respawn in my face. Because this is also an escort, I try to clear most of the way before accepting the quest, but I still have to move somewhat quickly to avoid the respawns. Luckily, the guy we are escorting is an elite, which means he can handle himself for a little bit without my help. As long as I moved slightly ahead, always giving me room to drink before encounters, it should be fine. Coming out of the cave is just as scary though, because the orcs come in packs of 3 or more. Luckily, I can polymorph one while letting him tank the other, and then deal with them one by one, making the quest relatively safe in the end. The biggest upside to Arcane Only is we are virtually swimming in cash from not having to train most available spells. And while Mount is somewhat far away, it's always good to stay on top of our money generation. I stopped by Ironforge on the way back to Wetlands to get my first aid up to speed, since it's been lagging behind for a while now. At level 29, we are in the worst part of the cycle. Being 1 level away from new Arcane Explosion and 3 levels of the next missiles means we can't AoE pull packs close to our level, and killing them one by one is also very slow.
Oh, boo-hoo, bro. You can't pull 4 mobs at a time, man. What is these mages?
Therefore, the main goal was to reach level 30. I also spent a while on this cursed ship killing sailors, hoping for marines to respawn before realizing that there are actually 2 ships, and I've just been wasting my time. After a lap and some quests completed, we hit level 30. Now, let's talk Presence of Mind. This spell lets us instantly cast any spell under 10 seconds cast.
But since you're arcane, like there's no pyroblast, there's no... What do you even use it for?
Normally this is used to get instant cast pyroblast or frostbolts.
Like poly?
But as an Arcane Only Mage, this spell can't really be used at all. Arcane Missiles is channeled, so it does nothing. Arcane Explosion is instant, so it doesn't matter. Teleports and portals are 10-second casts, so they don't work.
But
which means the only spells Arcane has that can use Presence of Mind is Conjure Food and Water and Polymorph. While a bit lackluster, I'm still going to pick it.
It's worth.
Because having an instant cast Polymorph in an emergency situation has the potential to save us. But also at level 30 we get our new rank of Arcane Explosion, which means the cycle has once again reset and we are approaching our strongest point yet again. While I'm eager to try this out on a few nulls, that will have to wait until next time.
These videos are actually good. I like it.
Yeah.
They're kind of chill. It's like a fun little episode to follow along with. And it is building up my hype more and more to like hardcore stuff and stuff. So that's badass. I'll link it there, chat. Check out Japanos.